is Robert Jason Leni, and I was born in Redwood City, California on December 15th, 1977. Well, I didn't grow up in Redwood City when I was probably less than a year old to Santa Clara, and my earliest memories of living in Santa Clara would probably be crawling around on this nasty carpet in front of the TV. It was a three-bedroom, two-bath house in Santa Clara, and it's still there. And it's worth a heck of a lot more money now than it was when my parents sold it. My dad was an electrical engineer, and my mom was an electrical designer. So I went to like a daycare before I started like real school. But my real first memories of school would have been at Catherine Hughes Elementary School. I remember like not really feeling like I fit in. Yeah, I didn't move for a long time. I think my parents moved to that house in 1978, like when I was a little baby, and then we didn't move until 1986 when it was the summer before I started fourth grade. Kind of apprehensive about leaving my friends and starting a new school. I guess exciting because it was also like a new place and new things to do. Honestly, the house and like the yard and everything, it was very similar. So we moved into like a three-bedroom, two-bath house in Orangevale, which was about the same size. I think I remember it being different in that in Santa Clara there was a tree and I had like built my own like wood fort and we had a rope swing and stuff. And then the house in Orangevale, there was really like it was just the backyard just had grass. There was nothing there. But at the new house, there was this really cool park right down the street, like at the end of the street, and there was a BMX dirt track, and I was able to like take my dirt bike and like ride around the track and like do jumps and like so I was like starting to get a little bit older. Like I remember I got a skateboard I think for Christmas, and I would skateboard like on the tennis courts at that park, and my parents kind of let me go play in the park with the neighbor kids like without any adult. Actually I made friends right away. Like most of the kids at the new school actually were like a lot more like me. They were also into like skateboards and BMX, and like they played baseball, and I actually made a lot of friends like right away. I mean, I pretty much always lived in like middle class suburbia, fairly similar, but I think as we got older, so when I moved from Santa Clara, then we moved to Orangevale, which was very similar house, but like a little bit nicer neighborhood. And then when we moved to Roseville, that was like brand new house. And we moved there in like 1988. And that was a brand new house, and it was like really nice. And that's where I basically grew up and went all through high school and college. The neighborhoods that I lived in, I think I've progressively like gone to like nicer neighborhoods. So like the neighborhood like we're in now, affluent neighborhood. Man, so California was always fun because it was like you're a lot like you could go to the beach. Like wherever I lived, I was like maybe within an hour to an hour and a half of the beach, or an hour to an hour and a half to the mountains. So there's always like cool outdoor things to do. There was always like activities like, you could go, to a baseball game. Like when I was a kid, like we would go to the Oakland A's games or like the Giants games, or we would go to like the beach, like out north of San Francisco or south of San Francisco, or we go up to like Tahoe, or we just go up in the foothills. Like one of the things that really I see different between then and now, there is so much more homeless everywhere you go now than when I was a kid. And when I was a kid, like you would see a homeless person and it was like kind of like shocking to a kid, to see like, and then you might say something to your parents and they'd be like, hush, hush, like, don't talk about it in public. But now it's like almost everywhere you go, you just see like tent cities. I mean, in 1984, I remember voting for Ronald Reagan in my, like they had held like a school-wide election for the kids. And I remember like voting for, I mean, I was like probably 6 or 7 years old. And like that was like a big deal. And then I remember sitting in class, like waiting for them to announce the results of who the school voted for. And then I was like super happy because the school voted for Ronald Reagan. And like nowadays, it's like completely opposite of what California is, right? Like there's no way that in today's political climate, California would vote that way. The whole state voted for Ronald Reagan. So that's like the earliest kind of, I think right, like high school or right after high school, there was like, there was a push against like illegal immigration that passed overwhelmingly. I think that was called like Prop 187. And then that got overturned by the courts like a few years later. And then there was a big push to like ban gay marriage, and that got passed in California. And then within a few years, that got overturned by the courts. So I think what I've seen from growing up in California is that it went from being a fairly like conservative place to like a complete 180 within a very short amount of time. Well, it's where I grew up, right? So that's what I know. But I've been to a number of places, right? I lived in Utah for a while. I've traveled around quite a bit. I've been to other countries. I've been to Mexico and Canada, and I've been overseas to like to France and to Italy and Switzerland. And I think California has just a really unique blend of it's multicultural. It's got a large blend of different people from different cultures. It also has great weather. It has like a lot of activities to do. Like even in the winter, like a lot of places like where it snows and stuff, it's kind of things a lot of things like kind of shut down in the winter. California, because of its great weather, you can do things like hiking and biking year round. There's just a lot. If you want like the city life, you can go into the city. If you like the rural life, you can go to rural. You can go hiking. I mean, it just pretty much has, I think, everything anybody would really want in a place to live. I'd say it's the best place on earth, but it's expensive. I would say don't get discouraged from what I've seen. I bought a couple of houses in my lifetime, and I know people get really discouraged these days with like the price of housing and the economy and how things are expensive in California. But I've seen everything go up and everything go down, and I've seen it happen multiple times. So I wouldn't get discouraged. Like I think right now we're in a cycle where everything is up and expensive, but I think there's going to be a downswing at some point, and just to be ready, take advantage of the downswing. Keep working towards your goals, but don't let it frustrate you. Like if you feel like you're in a spot right now, especially as a young person, right? Like when you're in your like teens and 20s, you haven't seen life enough to see like once you're in your 50s, you've seen a few of these cycles, and so when you don't have that perspective, people can get frustrated. But I still think there's a ton of opportunity in California.